Hello. Hello. I am Alicia Richard, and welcome to the podcast version of A Rich Life. So, if you are joining me on the podcast, then welcome. And also, if you are viewing this episode on YouTube, then again, welcome as well. I am Alicia Richard. So, in today's video, I am just out in nature and I want to give a quick video on how to navigate in the hard times. So, if you are trying to just navigate through the hard times in life where you seem like you may be a little overwhelmed or life is lifing, here are some of the tips that I have been utilizing. And I hope that from the strategies that I am talking about, that you are also able to use these things as well. And then that way it can help you to navigate through life. So I am really just going to talk from the heart on some of the things that I have been doing because I don't have my notes today because I'm like, you know what? I'm just ready to show up. So this is what we are doing. If you hear cars in the back, I'm sorry. This is how we showing up right now. All right. All right. So when it comes to life, like, girl, sometimes, and if you can relate, experience in life can be really, really hard when it comes to juggling different responsibilities because you may be like me, you may be a mom, right? And I have multiple children. I have two teens and a toddler. So navigating through the teenagers and also the toddler can be really, really hard. Can you relate? Or maybe you may not have children, but you are working your 9 to 5 job. And we know that working 9 to 5 can sometimes be a little hectic, respectfully, right? We understand that, that we are grateful to have jobs. However, sometimes it could be a little hard getting out of the bed and navigating and appreciating and approaching time. All right. So that's the other layer. So then you may be married, right? And then, oh my gosh, let's not talk about how every single day we got to think about how we are going to feed our family. So that's like another thing, like, dang, I got to think about what I'm going to eat today, right? And then I know for me personally, I'm in graduate school. So graduate school is continually like there's always a project that's due and it's always something that going on. So you kind of just couple that with maybe you have a side hustle or maybe you are caring for your family or maybe you also have a business that you are trying to start. So either way it goes, I want you to see how all of these layers can really, really just add up to where you are like, you know what? I am overwhelmed because I have this feeling a lot and I can relate because a lot of times I am there too. So here are some of the things that I do when I feel like I am getting to my point where it's like, you know what? Oh, that is loud. Next time I'm going to come to a lower volume location. But when I feel myself like getting to the point where I am like, you know what? I need to breathe. I need to relax. I need to calm down, right? I'm overwhelmed right now. So what I've been doing, the number one thing is I've been reaching out for help. And a lot of times, not to say as Black women, because I don't want to label, because it's not just Black women, but it's a lot of people, right? You could be a man or a woman or Black or white, whatever your color or demographic is. A lot of times we do not acknowledge that we need help. So then we don't acknowledge that we need help. And then as a result, we negate the fact of there being like professional help. So one of the things that I've been doing is one, acknowledging, wait a minute, I'm reaching my limit, right? Because there's certain triggers that I have that lets me know I'm getting to my limit, right? So first I acknowledge, okay, this is going wrong with me. This is what's going on with me. So I need to make sure that I seek out for help, right? So acknowledging that I need help. Then the second thing that I do is I actually seek professional help. And I want you to do that as well. I want you to seek professional help. A lot of times, like some of the jobs that you all may have, like look into those benefits that you all have because sometimes certain companies, and I don't know if it's all of them, but I know the company that I work for, they actually offer like counseling. So we get like 6 free counseling sessions, and then we also have it where it's like at the moment services as well. So I would highly recommend that if you are working to take a deep dive into see what your company that you work for, what type of professional counseling services that they offer. And I want you to do this research and see what is already there because in actuality, you may already have that service, but you may not know that it's there. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to reach out to your human resources or go on that page, and go on your company's page, look at your benefits and see what is there, because 9 times out of 10 you probably do have counseling services that are available for you, but you may not know. No one may have told you, hey girl, this is what's there, right? So one of the things that I do in this season right here, and I'm sure I'll do it in all of my seasons, is I call somebody. I'm like, I call my therapist. I have my therapist. I could talk to her. I could text her. And at that moment, at one time, one of my friends used to tell me like 3 or 4 years ago, she was like, girl, I am going to my therapist, right? And I'm like, I used to laugh like, therapist, girl, that's funny. Who does that, right? And then as life started lifing and I started maturing, I was like, you know what? A therapist ain't a bad idea. Let me call somebody, right? So what I begin to do is to look and see what available resources that are there. And then I started to put the pieces together. And what I begin to do is when you begin to research, when you look and see what resources are available to you, utilize your resources. And not to say that, what I want you to acknowledge is what is already available to you. So when you feel like you are getting to your limits, when you feel like, oh my gosh, life is overwhelming, life is lifing right now, I'm not feeling comfortable, I'm getting anxious, right? I'm getting agitated. When you notice yourself that every time you're just so short-tempered, you're short-tempered with your children, you're short-tempered on your job, you're short-tempered even with yourself. You may, go through some instances where you aren't confident in yourself. Your job may, just be all in limbo, right? But the thing about it is, I want you to be like, to know and acknowledge that it's okay to seek professional help, and not only just acknowledge and have that awareness that is there, but I also want you to take the action steps to get the professional help, to schedule the appointment, and not just schedule the appointment, because that's one step, right? Researching, scheduling the appointment. I need you to go to the appointment. I need you to make the phone call to the appointment. I need you to show up on time to your appointment, right? So this is just a gentle reminder that, all right, girls, you acknowledge that life is lifing right now, and we know that the tension is there, and now the next thing that you are going to do is actually seek professional help and guidance. Now, it's one thing to ask your girlfriend, your best friend, your co-worker. I get that, but sometimes you really just need the licensed professional counselor. Sometimes you really need the social worker, right? Sometimes you really need that licensed therapist to give you a different perspective. Because one of the things that I've noticed is that, yes, I may tell my family, I may tell my friends, I may tell my coworkers, I may express myself in so many different ways to other people, but when you get that professional help, that it comes from another perspective, a neutral perspective, then the way that you look at things would be totally different, because you're getting that professional insight now. You see what I'm saying? So it's okay to ask for help. It's okay for you to acknowledge that life isn't where you want it to be at right now. And as a human being, I wouldn't even say as a woman, right? Just as a human being, right? We all need to acknowledge that. And when we acknowledge that, we seek the help, get the help, and show up, right? Because a lot of times you may say, well, why does, and I'm just thinking of different scenarios that are coming to my head, not to say that I've experienced this or whatever, but you may ask yourself, well, why does this type of trauma continue to show up, right? Why does confidence continue to be an issue for me and my family? Why does the finances seem to be an issue for me and my family? Why do we continue to struggle? And a lot of that struggle not only just comes from self-awareness, yes, but it also comes from seeking professional help. Because if you have somebody to really guide you and help you establish your goals and kind of help you knowing where you are going, that makes a difference. So, all in all, make sure that you seek professional help, and it's okay. The second thing, so of course, I do have a number one, but that was the first thing that came, one of the things that came to mind. The next thing is, when you are feeling like you are overwhelmed, of course, prayer, praying for guidance, praying for understanding, praying for clarity, praying for a peace of mind. Because um, a lot of times the world outside may be noisy, but have you ever noticed that up here, right up here, what you think, how you feel, sometimes the inside can be just as noisy as the outside. And when you change your awareness, when you sit in that stillness, when you have time to pray, either when you are riding and taking your children to school, when you are driving to work on that alone time, when you are on your lunch break, when you have those small nuggets of time, like in between the things that you are supposed to do, take that time and pray. Take that time to say, God, thank you for guiding me. God, thank you for leading me. God, thank you for a peace of mind. Because when we acknowledge again that a lot of times it's not always what's on the outside, but a lot of times it's what's on the inside. What are you saying to yourself? And sometimes that's the noisiest thing, right? The noisiest thing may be that voice that is in our head that say, girl, you know what? You are a hot mess. That voice sometimes says, you know what, you're not worth it. That voice sometimes may tell you, you don't have time for that. That voice may tell you, you know what, you're struggling right now, right? That internal voice sometimes speaks louder. So what we need to do is see what ways and what we could do to bring that voice down so that we can say, God, thank you for guiding me. Thank you for clarity. Thank you for a peace of mind. And then when you begin to say those prayers, thank you for guiding my footsteps, leading me to the right resources, leading me to the right places. Thank you for leading me to the right people, right? When you begin to silence that voice in your head and take authority over that voice in your head that tells you that you're not smart enough, I need you to begin to speak things over your life. There's a scripture that says, speak things not as though they were. So when you are speaking positively over your life, over your situation, over your circumstances, then you will begin to see how things change. So if you feel like you're in a little trouble right now, put a little prayer on it, right? If you feel like you are not in peace right now, put a little prayer on it. If you feel like your marriage is in shambles and you're trying to put it back together, put a little prayer on it. If you feel like people on your job ain't treating you the way that they should treat you, put a little prayer on it. If you feel like your mind is just all over the place, put a little prayer on it, right? So now that we say, you know what, I'm getting my prayer life right. If only it's about 10 or 15 minutes, it don't even take 10 or 15 minutes. Girl, we could do like 3 to 5 minutes a day. Okay, we're going to take baby steps. We taking baby steps. So even if it ain't 5, we just going to go with the 2.5. We're going to go with the 2.5 today, right? So one of the things that we could say is we're going to make sure that we are implementing prayer in our life. Not only are we going to implement the prayer in our life, but we're going to seek professional help. So we got prayer and professional help. The last thing that I want to say, that I want to encourage you all to do when you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I need you to move. I need you to move a little bit. Rather that's taking a walk, rather that is stretching. Sometimes when I'm at my job, I just stand up and I just stretch. Sometimes I would just bend over. There's a thing that it's some cars that are like yoga, chair yoga. So I would just begin to do things like in my chair, right? So sometimes you may just need to move your body. Sometimes you may need to dance it out in your living room. Sometimes you may need to take a walk around the building of your job if it's safe, right? Sometimes you may need to just take a deep breath in and out. So whatever movement looks like for you, if you aren't working out a full hour, that is okay. What if we just do 5 minutes today? Right? What if we just do 5 minutes? So what we are doing is we are putting a prayer in it. Then we are adding that professional help. And then we're also adding that movement into it as well, right? So when you are feeling like you are overwhelmed, prayer, professional help, movement. When you feel like the world is falling apart, prayer, professional help, movement. When you feel like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through the day? Prayer, professional help, and movement. Because when you add all of these things together, then that way you begin to get the answers. Rather, God will tell you directly. Sometimes God doesn't tell you directly all of the time. Sometimes your answers come through a podcast, a sermon, a conversation. You may be riding in your car, but you see a sign, right? So a lot of times paying attention to all of those things around you. And I want to leave you with a scripture that says, be not weary in well doing, because in due season you will reap if you faint not. And right now, I'm sure you're doing well, right? But don't be weary in this time. I know you may be overwhelmed, but don't get weary in this time. I know that the world may feel like it's on your shoulders and you have so much going on, but don't get so weary in this time, because in due season, right? What does due season look like? Due season is within the process. In due season, you will get your promotion. In due season, that marriage will come back together. In due season, you will begin to go through all of these things so that you could write your book, right? In due season, right? You will reap if you faint not. In due season, when that season comes, when that season comes, right? So don't get weary, don't faint, don't give up, and don't give in, because you will reap if you faint not. So what does that reap look like for you? Right? And that is the other side of your vision. Continue to write down your goals as if it has already happened. When you begin to prophesy over your life, when you begin to speak over your life, over your marriage, over your home, over your relationships, when you begin to speak life over your body and take the necessary steps that you need to, girl, you will be unstoppable. Okay? So this is a gentle reminder. This is a gentle reminder to let you know that you got this. Do not give up, because I am waiting to see us all on the other side. Again, this is Alicia Richard. I sure do appreciate that you have been able to listen to this podcast episode today. And if you are viewing the podcast version on YouTube, thank you so much for viewing this video. I am outside in nature and I just wanted to bring you a quick word. So I am Alicia Richard. Thank you so much. Remember to share the episode, because I'm sure that it will help someone else, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.